Okay, gang, here we are. We're back. And this is series step, Jess, number 7 of 7. We're at the end. This is the very end of this, Jess, that help someone go from a one-to-one, meaning I'm coaching one person at one time, to now I want to build my business one to many. And this last step, Jess, is probably one of the most powerful steps that people miss,
Mhm.
and that's proof, right?
Yeah,
That is proof. Now you have proof.
I'm excited to have this conversation because I think you're exactly right. So many people lean into our first 6 steps for
Uh,
different reasons. They know that they have strengths and needs in those. And
uh,
it's like the 7th, which to me is honestly the most important behind payoff, which is our first, right? This would be the second most important, and it's the most forgotten or ignored.
it's easy to forget and it's easy to ignore because you're
Mhm.
having success, right? You're having success. You understood your payoff. You've mathed the math.
Mhm.
You have identified your audience. You've connected through them with a channel. You have engaged more people and you've connected, and you're winning. You're winning. You're having success.
Yeah,
People miss the proof part though, right? They miss this
always.
proof part always. And we have what we call a loop, a flywheel, right? So something that continually goes, and we say this is our blueprint. And we even teach this in our challenge, I believe, Jess. One offer to one conversation to one payoff. Here it comes, one testimonial that then you get to share one story. And think about this as a flywheel that keeps on going. So when you have proof, the proof can go so much further than you opening your mouth and feeling like you have to sell to everybody else.
Yes. Well, that's the whole point of this section on proof, or another way to say this is evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And the key here is you've spent all this time building your payoff and defining your audience and your avatar and the channels and the conversions and enrolling people. And yet people will go backwards in the essence of, oh my gosh, now that I've done all this and I know it works and I've seen the results of it, they start to feel like they have to prove themselves in this to get the next person to enroll and the next person to enroll. And the thing is we've taught you through all 7 of these podcast episodes, you don't ever have to sell if you have the language around what you've done. And
Mm-hmm.
so the flywheel that Adam's talking about, or the concept of gaining the proof through the offer and the conversion and the payoff and the testimonial, gives you that case study story that allows you to share somebody else's story, so it doesn't feel like you're sitting here and making it all about you.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that right there is what people need to do so much more frequently,
Mm-hmm.
because case studies, evidence supports the outcome so much better than ego and, the me language that
Right.
happens when somebody doesn't have the case study to share.
Well, here's this simple, easy example. Jess, when was the last time you bought something on Amazon?
Yesterday, this
Now,
morning.
you probably knew what you wanted, right? And remember, listeners, why do buyers buy? Because they want to, right? Because they buy because it solves a problem that they feel they have at that moment in time. And what do most Amazon buyers go do before they buy if they've never bought the product before? If they've never bought the product before from that seller, is they go look at what?
The reviews.
Reviews, right? And the reviews are someone who has bought that product outside of the seller
Hmm.
and says, this product is fantastic. This product sucks. This is how this product helped me. This is how this product didn't help me. This is how it was delivered, so on and so on, so on and so forth. And that's what we're trying to get to you here is this is the part of your business cycle that the proof doesn't have to come from you. I can change your life.
Hmm.
I can get you the payoff you want. That is up here at the top. That's where it's got the buy next to it. And the proof is all of these feedbacks below in Amazon.
Well, it's funny that you went that way. I went straight to the word evidence is, is required for somebody to come to a conclusion, right? So even in like the criminal justice system, you need evidence to prove an accusation or prove a point. And so without evidence, you have nothing to stand on. And this
Mhm.
is why we see so many people who are building groups out of order fail or not succeed, is because they built a group with no proof. They built a group with no evidence of their outcome that they could deliver on what they said their payoff was.
Right.
And so that is why, we teach our blueprint this way, and why we have belief that you need to go find clients in a one-to-one space, figure out who you like to help with, what is your payoff, what is the way that you're going to help them, and what can you take as evidence from your one-on-ones that you then turn into the foundation of your group.
Mm.
And so you need evidence from your one-on-ones to make a group successful, not only in the sales side, but even in the success side of the people who are joining your group. And so I'm a little spicy around it sometimes, because I hear too many people be like, well, I just want to build a group because I would love to show up one call a week, 30, 60, 90 minutes and make a ton of money and live a lifestyle. And I'm like, that doesn't show me how you're going to support these people and what outcome you're going to give them. It's just showing that you don't want to spend the time to have the framework and the solution and all the things that they need to get an outcome. When you
Yeah.
make it about you and your time on task over time and the income that you're getting from this, I have no trust in you. There is no evidence that you can help me, and I don't want to give you any money.
What comes to my mind here, and this is totally off of the coaching subject, Jess, is I think about the fashion industry. Don't know
Mhm.
why. I mean, I'm not overly fat. Oh, by the way, I got my master's.
I saw
My,
that.
my brother-in-law went to the master's and he brought me back this and Dana, like a lot of stuff. Not me, but she got a lot of stuff. Anyway, Jess, I think about the fashion industry. So think about like any Ralph Lauren, right? When he comes up or when his designers come up with something, they put it on a model it's just one outfit and they
Mhm,
go down the runway, right?
mhm.
And that one outfit with all these people that are looking at it say, wow, that looks good. Oh, wow, we can maybe do something with that. Oh, wow. And then what do? They take that one outfit, that one concept, that one design, and then they go mass produce it. Right. And now, instead of just being, okay, couture, where one person has that, they now appeal to the masses, the one to many, and say, now everyone can buy that. So
I
this,
love
yeah,
that.
go ahead.
No, I
Yeah,
was going to say, I love this analogy because not every outfit on the runway makes it into a store.
that's right. Right. So it is the same thing here is when you're in your one-to-one space, think of it as you stepping in with your problem solution cycle, with your payoff of that client, and they're going down the runway and they're like, does this look good? Do I feel good? Am I going to win at whatever this payoff is? And then you can come back to you and you can say, whoa, the audience just went crazy. I can go mass produce this to the masses now.
Oh,
That's
that's such a good
that's
analogy.
simplest way to think about this in the proof step is you have proof that the masses will now buy this because you know who's going to wear that outfit.
Right. Well, and not every outfit is for every person, right?
That's right.
Styles are different, cuts are different, body styles are different. And so that's why it's so valuable to have the feedback of multiple one-to-one clients, not just one client, then be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to build a group. Because
Mhm.
you need to have the ability to be prescriptive with your proof when you're
Yes.
talking to somebody.
Yes.
So what Adam is wearing is different than what Jess Weber is wearing for many different reasons. And like,
Yes.
for example, since we're using this one, I have no interest in golf or the Masters. Like, the only thing that I like about Adam's clothing, besides probably the quality is phenomenal, is the color is vibrant and I love it. But like the
Mhm.
Masters logo means nothing to me. And so if Adam led specifically with Masters merch all the time in his fashion world, that would not be ideal for me. But yet, if Adam led with vibrant colors, it would be a completely different thing. So, knowing how you help somebody, what they need, what they want, what stories land in the marketplace, because Adam's going to turn off everybody who's not golf interested, but he could totally sell the exact same thing to somebody who's color interested, right?
Right.
Those two things, same product, same outcome, different story.
Yeah.
And so evidence proof matters, and having a collection of it matters. So that way you can tell the right one in the right room to the right person. And you can position yourself well. So if you're going from one to one to one to many, and you're in front of, a master class or a challenge or a group of people, or you're writing sales copy for a landing page or an email, you have to think about different types of people and who is the right one that is going to connect with the story that you want to then click buy or register or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
Great job.
Adam's language, masters might not be the right language. Color might be the right language. Fit might be the right language. Fabric might be the right language. You got to go figure it out.
Yeah, you definitely do. And as we were talking about the flywheel, right? When we come down to the testimonial piece, this is, again, we're talking one to one to many. That one testimonial piece, you can now turn into the story that lands with the right avatar. And when you get into the one to many space, that one testimonial, that one story to the right avatar will open up the world, right? It'll open up the one to many world. And so the proof aspect, the evidence aspect here is simple and yet overlooked. It's simple and yet not always systematized. It's simple and has such of a, I'm going to use our own language here. When done right, Jess, it has an incredible payoff to you. It has an incredible lift and leverage for you when you build a system around your proof and your evidence side to attract a one to many approach.
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's the thing about proof, whether it's the testimonial or the story side of things, is we often assume that we know what the proof is on behalf of our clients in a one-to-one space. Hey, they came in, they said their problem was this, I helped them solve it. But my favorite thing that people suck at here is the fact that they don't go ask their clients, hey, what did you get from this?
Mm.
Because so often you will get different answers than you assumed from your clients, who are your raving fans and will be ambassadors for you. But they might be saying a totally different message than what you believe that they would be saying on their behalf. And so Adam's statement around building a system of this is a huge opportunity for you. And it can be as simple as a couple question survey. It could be, if you're doing regularly scheduled calls, hey, every quarter I'm going to ask you these 3 questions live, just to get your feedback to make sure that we're in alignment, we're moving forward. But and so you're feeding transcripts into AI. I don't care how you're doing it, but getting testimonial type feedback or stories back of how you have impacted people can help you significantly better make decisions and craft language than your assumptions and being in your own head.
Yeah, so true. So true. So this is an easy one, Jess. This is an easy podcast to talk about. This is a very educational podcast to talk about. Though I want to take it one more layer deep. And we've talked a little bit about this on past podcasts. We have to still understand the difference between hero language and guide language.
Yeah.
The hero language says, come on, kid, you can do it. Very aspirational, very just hero language, right?
Mhm.
Guide language in this proof, in this evidence is so important. And I know we've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. 2 components that you need to have with guide language in the evidence and proof space is number 1, empathy.
Mhm.
So this can go into your story component. Empathy is, I worked with Betty Sue and I knew that she had this challenge and I had been there before.
Mhm.
I knew that she was, I think I did this on the last part. She was down in that little hole and it was cold, dark, and damp, whatever, right? I knew that she was down there because I'd been down there before and it was not good. Competence, I know how to help Betty Sue.
Mhm.
I know the steps to help Betty Sue. And again, in the language with your story is, I knew where Betty Sue was. the steps that were necessary to help Betty Sue out. Betty Sue applied those steps, and here's where she is now,
Mhm.
right? Uh, I think Dan Martell did this really well when we were working with him. When he was stepping into the space of gaining proof and evidence, do you remember what he did? Do you remember what his simple little script was that he wanted? So this is very tactical for you guys. He would send an email and say, I want you to take your phone and put it in selfie mode. And I want you to basically answer these 3 questions. There might have been 4, but I remember 3. Where were you before we worked together?
Mhm.
What has transpired while we've worked together? And what have been your successes now since we've worked together? And he wanted that in a video form, and you sent it to him. And guess what he did? Shared it with the world.
Wow.
Shared it with the world. And guess what? He blew up one to many real big, real fast, real strong.
Well, and what was so interesting was like your testimonial was one of the ones that he used regularly because he actually did it as a contest and
Mhm.
he gave extra coaching one-on-one with people who submitted it, which was incredible.
And we got
But
that.
you had a lot of connection points from that of,
Mhm.
"Hey, I saw your testimonial. Can we connect further?" And I think that's another byproduct of this is you told your story in your own words on
Mhm.
behalf of Dan, but Dan didn't have to tell your story. And your story connected with other people, which allowed you to connect with other people, which allowed you to not only grow your network, but also Dan's group was allowed to grow from it as well. So it was this mutually beneficial thing for you and for Dan.
Yeah,
And none of that was bought, none of that was scripted, none of that was inauthentic, and all of it added to the evidence that coaching with Dan could do this thing, deliver this promise, this payoff.
that's right.
And so the work was done without Dan having to lift more than a couple fingers on a keyboard asking for the testimonials.
That's right.
And that to me is such a powerful thing. And now you can start this if you've got 5 or 10 one-on-one clients, get one from each of them. You might only use 1 or 2 of them, they might not all land, but again, when you start to use them and you start to grow, you'll get more of them and you can be prescriptive with them. This one is going to land in this text message to this person or in this email thread or is this ad or whatever the case may be. It might be copy on a page. It can grow over time, but collecting those is going to change the game in the way that you talk to people. And it will actually help with, if you look backwards at our 7 things, your proof will help your enrollment, which will help you have better messaging on your channels, which will allow it to be easier for you to connect with people, which will allow you to grow your audience. Like it literally works backwards once you have all of that stuff figured out.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the beautiful thing of this framework and why it works so solidly when you do all 7 of the things.
Get this, we haven't worked with Dan now for 2 years, and that testimonial still has people calling me asking about working with Dan. And they work with him, right? They work with him because of a testimonial back in 2023.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
of evidence and proof back in 2023 is still working 3 years later to drive revenue to him.
right. And you are still willing to have the conversations with them, not because you said you weren't working with Dan anymore, and that's true, but it wasn't because Dan failed or anything like that. It was the payoff that Dan promised at the time is not something that you're currently looking for. So I know people who are probably more C-based or something like that. Oh, well, I have to refresh them. No, you don't. Dan is still using yours 3 years later, and it still stands true because you were speaking from where you were in that moment.
Right. Yeah.
And that's going to resonate with people who are at that moment or right before that moment. It doesn't have to stay true forever.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a really powerful thing for people who may sit here and be like, "Oh, I don't like this idea. This doesn't sound good. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do this all the time." And that's why your language of find a system that works for you around it is so powerful because it can do the heavy lifting once you've got it systematized and in place and you've collected that evidence.
Yep, that is right. So This aspect of proof and evidence is one that we save the best for last, right?
Mhm.
Because this, when done properly, 3 years from now can still be generating you leads, right? As
100%.
we just simply shared there with Dan. So let's bring this all in a fun, finalized, done with this series, Jess. We started with payoff,
Mhm.
understanding clearly what is this offer, this invitation to achieve. What is that specifically from you? Then we went into the math, right? Understanding the math component. From math, just we went to audience. Who is your avatar? Who wants this offer? Who wants this invitation that has this problem solution cycle? Then from audience, we went to where do they live? Where is the channel that they mostly are watching? Whether again, that is social media, whether that is podcasts, whether that is events and stages, whether that is snail mail or emails or ads, for goodness sakes. What is the channel? How do you connect? And then ultimately after connect, you have to enroll, which is where the money is. And then you have the simple system of the proof, right? So there's our
Yeah.
7 steps right there, Jess. I love this. This lands, and we've watched it land so well with so many coaches that are building their own thing, going from one to one to many. And we love helping these coaches. One to many, that transition, you guys, is so much fun for us to coach, and it's so messy for you. Right? I
Mhm.
want you to know it's okay to be messy. Though this is where we can take that rock, polish it up, and make it nice and clean and turn it into, a river rock that is nice and smooth for you to transition to one to many. I don't know where that came from. I looked outside and I saw a pebble that looked kind of
You're
rigid.
so funny.
Yeah. Okay. Land
No,
the plane, Jess. Land it.
you're exactly right. We do. We love helping people discover what they need to know,
Mhm.
and package or adjust what they've already done so that it lands successfully with the people that need them in their lives. And honestly, we do this all the time, whether it's through, our free PDF, the Get Paid to Coach that you can grab at ilovecoachingco.com, or our challenge where we're constantly running those. So check out the next date on our website as well. Or even in, our community and our VIP engagements.
Mhm.
And all of those spaces are aligned with the same frameworks, the same process of helping people really define their language and figure out where they are in order to figure out where they need to go.
That's
And
right.
so if any of that is something that we can help you with, come find us, come tell us, because our challenge, like I said, is a great place to kind of get started with us,
Mhm.
but we're willing to have the conversation no matter what because we're here to help.
That's right. That's what we do. Okay. Jess, nice work. We are finished with this. We're not going to let the cat out of the bag of what's next. I'm excited for what's next, though we trust everyone has enjoyed this series, and we'll see you next time. See you. Bye.
Bye.